Okay, so we are starting 6.5, which is transcription, and as far as the bookish definition is concerned, that if you have got the DNA and if you are utilizing that DNA to convert it to make an additional RNA molecule, that is known as the transcription. Now let us try to dissect this definition and try to find out like what does it actually mean. So DNA is just like a blueprint. Okay, so if let's say that you want to make something, let's say you want to make a home, and you have got a one blueprint map of your home, then you do not want to lose it. If this is your blueprint of your home, so it will be known as your DNA, which is your blueprint, and you do not want to lose your blueprint because you can utilize your blueprint to make your home. And once you have lost your main copy, which is your blueprint, there is nothing that you can refer to make your home back again. So what will be the better idea if you can make some of the some copies of this particular DNA, and you can utilize those copies to make your home. So even if you lost some of the copies, then still you have got the blueprint intact. So this photocopy of this blueprint will be known as your RNA. So the same analogy can be applied onto the cell as well. So if this is the cell, and inside the cell there is the nucleus, and inside the nucleus we have got the DNA. So DNA is acting as our blueprint, and you do not want to lose your blueprint. So what you can do, you can make a photocopy of that blueprint and you can take it out. So RNA can come out from the nucleus, and you can utilize that RNA to make some protein, which will be the product. The process of making RNA from the DNA is known as transcription. The very first thing that we have to see is 6.5.1, which is the transcription unit. Only if you have got, let's say the human genome is composed of somewhere around 3 into 10 raised to power 9 base pairs, and out of this 9 base pair, 10 raised to power 9 base pair, which is 3 billion base pairs, out of these 3 billion base pairs, only somewhere around 1 to 2% is a coding sequence. Coding sequence is the portion of the DNA that is being utilized to make some functional product, and that functional product can either be RNA, and that functional product can eventually can be protein. So that particular portion is known as the coding sequence, and we have got somewhere around only 1 to 2% of the coding sequence out of the whole 3 billion base pairs. How one unit of a protein, one unit of functional transcription unit, how does it look like? If this is my protein sequence, the very first portion, a little bit chunk, a little bit of, a piece of oligonucleotide is known as the promoter. So as the name itself is suggesting, promoter, okay, so it is going to facilitate the process of the transcription. Something is going to come and it will bind onto this promoter, and that will recruit the RNA polymerase. And as we know that to convert DNA into RNA, or to make RNA from DNA, we need a polymerase. That polymerase is RNA polymerase. So promoter is the site, is the sequence of nucleotides onto which some factor are going to come, and specifically that factor into this particular case is known as the sigma factor. So promoter is the nucleotide sequence onto which a factor is going to bind, and into this particular case, this factor will be the sigma factor. So sigma factor, what is it going to do? It is going to recruit the RNA polymerase. And since now the job of sigma factor was to identify a promoter sequence and to recruit the RNA polymerase, since now its duty is done, so it can leave the place. So sigma factor will leave, and after that the RNA polymerase will start to transcribe the DNA. Now the question arises that which particular strand it is going to polymerize. Okay, so we have discussed into the DNA, into the replication section, that the polymerase actually are able to polymerize only 5 into 5 dash to 5 dash to 3 dash direction. So let us say that obviously that it is going to polymerize this particular strand 3 dash to 5 dash, and onto it that it is going to polymerize, let us say this will be the strand it will make, and this strand will be into 3 dash direction here and 5 dash direction here, because RNA polymerase, same as the DNA polymerase, it is able to polymerize into one direction. That direction will be the 5 dash to 3 dash direction. Now the second question arises that what kind of polymerase is it? Okay, although we know that it is RNA polymerase and the polymerase that we were using into the replication was the DNA polymerase, but we can classify these polymerases into a broader category. Let us try to see it. So polymerase can be divided, as you know already, that into either DNA polymerase or either into RNA polymerase. Now DNA polymerase again can be divided into two parts. Either it can be RNA dependent or it can be DNA dependent. Same as the RNA polymerase, either it can be DNA dependent or it can be RNA dependent. Now as we can see that we have got four kind of different polymerases which are using some kind of what they are working on. Okay, so if they are working on RNA and they are making the DNA, so it will be RNA dependent DNA polymerase. So and if it is a DNA using DNA and synthesizing also the DNA, it will be DNA dependent DNA polymerase. So the example for these polymerases will be, for the DNA dependent DNA polymerase, normal replication polymerase that we were using into the during the replication is the DNA dependent DNA polymerase. So for the replication, and we have got DNA dependent RNA polymerase. Okay, so DNA dependent RNA polymerase, because we know that this is DNA and onto the DNA we are synthesizing the RNA. So the polymerase that we are using right here, although it is the RNA polymerase, but it is specifically DNA dependent RNA polymerase. So into the transcription. Now RNA dependent RNA polymerase, that we will see that some of the virus actually are able to replicate their RNA by a specific kind of RNA polymerase that is utilizing the RNA as a template, and it is transcribing or it is replicating the RNA itself, and that RNA is known as the RNA dependent RNA polymerase. So in some virus, in some virus like HIV, that we have got RNA dependent DNA polymerases as well, because the genome, the virus want to integrate itself into the genome of the host, but the virus genetic material is the RNA. So how is it going to integrate itself into the DNA? So it converts itself from RNA back into DNA, and this process is known as the reverse transcription. So if you are making RNA from the DNA, so if you are making, as right here, I'm making RNA from the DNA, this is transcription. Let us say I have got RNA, and from that RNA I want to make the DNA. Obviously the process will be reverse of the transcription or the reverse transcription. The enzyme that we are using right here is known as the reverse transcriptase. The second element into the transcription unit is the structural gene. And the structural gene is the place from where the very first RNA is going to get synthesized. So if this is the position from where the RNA is getting synthesized, so this position is known as the +1 position, and the very first three bases will always be A, U, G into the RNA, and this is known as the starting codon. We'll discuss regarding the codon into the next video, but let us consider it like this will be the very first. AUG will be the very first triplet of nitrogenous base pairs that will be starting the structural gene portion. The third and the last unit of the transcription unit is the terminator itself. As we have discussed that it is just same as like promoter. That promoter is the nucleotide sequence which is able to promote the transcription. Terminator will be the nucleotide sequence which will stop the transcription process. So just as we had sigma factor for the promoter, we have got another factor which is known as the rho, and rho comes and binds with the RNA polymerase and it helps the process to stop, and that is known as the termination of transcription. So Rho comes and binds with RNA polymerase, and it helps RNA polymerase to jump off from the DNA sequence, and that actually leads to the termination of the transcription. Now, as we have already discussed, let us say that this is 5 dash, this is 3 dash, this will be 3 dash, and this will be 5 dash. The RNA that this RNA polymerase was making was from this strand, because it is able to polymerize 5 dash to 3 dash direction. Now the question arises that this opposite strand which RNA polymerase is utilizing to make the RNA is known as the template strand. But actually RNA polymerase wanted to make a copy of this particular strand, which is 5 to 3 strand. If it wants to make a copy of this particular strand, that it is supposed to make a copy of 3 to 5 so that whatever sequence is going to come onto 5 to 3 will be equivalent. So that is why this strand is known as the coding strand. So the strand which RNA utilizes to make the RNA is known as the template strand, and the opposite strand from the template strand is known as the coding strand. Let us try to validate all the information that we have gathered from the NCERT. So the transcriptional unit, number A promoter, we are done with the promoter, and we saw that the sigma factor binds there. Structural gene, we'll discuss a little bit more about this, and the third thing was the terminator onto which the Rho factor was binding to help RNA polymerase to jump off from that DNA, so that the process of transcription can be stopped. We've also discussed the classification of the DNA dependent RNA polymerase. So we have seen that what different kinds of polymerases can be there. So DNA dependent DNA polymerase, DNA dependent RNA polymerase, RNA dependent DNA polymerase, and RNA dependent RNA polymerase. We are done with the template strand as well and the coding strand. So the strand which is RNA polymerase is utilizing to make the RNA is known as the template strand, and the opposite strand is known as the coding strand. The three things: promoter, terminator, and the structural gene. If this is the DNA, an RNA polymerase can come and it can make RNA. Either this RNA can play its role in regulatory functions. So either it can be regulatory RNA, either it can be structural RNA, and either it can be RNA which further can be converted into proteins. It is not directly converted although, but it is being utilized. RNA is being utilized, and with the help of ribosome, it is the translation, with the help of a translation process, a peptide synthesis occurs. So now if this particular sequence, from which any functional product, either it can be regulatory RNA, either it can be structural gene, either it can be protein itself, this particular nucleotide sequence is known as the gene. And specifically from a gene, if it is making protein product, then it is known as cistron. Now the second situation could be that in this particular segment of gene, we can have under one promoter and one terminator, I can have different sequences for protein A, protein B, protein C. So under one promoter and one terminator, I'll have different protein sequences, and this particular kind of sequences are known as polycistronic. Or either we can have a normal gene in which we have one promoter, one protein product, and one terminator, and this kind of sequences are known as monocistronic sequences. Let us try to validate it with the NCERT. So now we know that what is cistron. So out of the gene, there can be different things. Either it can make RNA, regulatory RNAs, it can make structural RNAs, or it can make normal RNA, which further can be converted into protein. And these kind of, specifically RNA which can make protein, is known as cistron. So this sequence which is able to make a protein will be known as cistron. Now let us discuss that what could be the regulatory RNAs. That in our DNA we can have regulatory RNAs such as miRNA, which is known as the microRNA, siRNA, which is small interfering RNA. Into the structural gene, we can have rRNA, which is the integral part of the ribosomes. So that will come make the structural RNA, and the third RNA, which is either can be hnRNA or mRNA, which further can be processed to make the protein. And the next thing would be that, as we have already discussed regarding the rho factor. So rho factor is the termination. So sigma factor will be the initiation factor, and the rho factor will be the termination factor. So here is the rho factor, which comes and helps RNA polymerase to jump off from the double-stranded DNA, and here hence this is how the termination takes place. So we have discussed that how the transcription process is going to take place. So this is your DNA. From the DNA, we were able to isolate the RNA. But the important point is, this is not the so-called typical mRNA. This mRNA is known as hnRNA, heteronuclear RNA. So this is just a heteronuclear RNA. It is yet to get modified so that it can help to make the protein. The very first step is known as capping. A molecule is being added onto its one side, specifically onto its 5' side. It is known as a cap, and this is 5-7 methyl guanosine cap. Okay, and the second process will be tailing. Into tailing onto the 3' side, a poly A tail is being attached. Now the second question is that what is the benefit of this process? Now what can happen that this whole mRNA can circularize. Okay, so 5' cap can make an interaction with poly A tail and circularize this RNA, and right now it is known as the mRNA. So the benefit will be, now any nuclease, okay, so nuclease are those enzymes which cut or chops off the either the DNA or the RNA. So any nuclease that are integral that are present inside a cell will not be able to cleave this RNA, and the efficiency of RNA can be enhanced. So let us try to validate what we have studied up until now with the NCERT. So we are done with the cistron, monocistronic, polycistronic. So this was the polycistronic and this was the monocistronic. And right here we have got initiation, elongation and termination, all the three things we have done. Next, what we saw is the termination, and after that the termination factor, which was rho, and the initiation factor, which was sigma. rRNA we discussed into the portion in which DNA dependent, in which DNA dependent RNA polymerase is able to synthesize some structural RNA, and these RNA were rRNA. rRNA are the integral part of the ribosomes. So we have already seen the classification of different kind of polymerases. But now this DNA dependent RNA polymerase, okay, so DNA dependent RNA polymerase can further be classified into different portions. So if we talk about this DNA dependent RNA polymerase either in prokaryote, and we can talk about DNA dependent RNA polymerase in eukaryote. In prokaryote we have got only and only one RNA polymerase, and eukaryote we have got 3 RNA polymerase 1, RNA polymerase 2 and RNA polymerase 3. RNA polymerase 2 is the most common since it is utilized to make all the mRNA, which further down will help to make the protein. While polymerase 1 is helped to make the rRNA, And this rRNA, as we have discussed, that this is the integral part of the ribosome. So into the ribosomes are made up of protein and RNA, and this RNA is rRNA, as the name itself is suggesting, ribosomal RNA. And the RNA polymerase 3 is going to help you out with tRNA, with different kinds of RNA, snRNA, small nuclear RNA, srRNA. Now only one more concept is remaining as far as the eukaryotes are concerned. And let me give a disclaimer that this particular process that we are about to discuss is only present into the eukaryotes. It is not present into the prokaryotes. And this process is of splicing, presence of exons and introns. Now let us try to find out what are they. If this is my DNA and this is my structural gene, let us say that this particular portion is my structural gene. Into this structural gene, I may have several different protein coding regions. Okay, let us try to find out what do we mean by that. So it might possible that only this much portion is able to code if this much portion that I need. Let us say here I need this much, from here I need this much, and from here I need this much. So these are only 1 2 3 4 portions, part of the main gene that I only require to make my protein. So these portions, which are known as the protein coding sequences of the gene, are known as the exons. And the portion which is in between two exons is known as intron. Now what is going to happen when first we'll make the mRNA very nicely without any problem. Let us say that I have made my mRNA like this. This is my mRNA. But out of this my mRNA, the portion that I only require is only this much. So what is going to happen with the help of some enzymes? What am I going to do? That this machinery is going to chop this RNA and it will take out only the product, only the sequence that it wants, and that will be the exons, and introns will be discarded. And this particular process, as you can, the name itself is very much self-explanatory, is splicing. So what is going to happen, that I am going to take up only the portion, and this particular process is known as the splicing. So let us now try to see. So we are done with the different kinds of RNA polymerase and what do they make. RNA polymerase 1, 2, 3, and here we are done with the splicing, capping, tailing, and RNA world as well.